So, hindi lamang one time, big time. No? Kung hindi, ang challenge is to be able to live our lives always with the symbol of the cross. Ito yung pinaka-mark ng ating pananampalataya. And every Christian leader in service, of course, must also look that it is the standard of life that we live. No? Basing on that, what I would like us to do at this point, this afternoon, is to make a reflection exercise. Pag sinabi natin way of the cross, take up your cross daily. Palagay ko ang simple na pamamaraan to reflect on the cross daily is to really look at the stations of the cross that we pray every Lenten season. Although some people, they have made it their Friday devotion. Sabi nila si Padre Pio daw noon, every Friday, kahit hindi Kwaresma, he would meditate on the way of the cross. Kasi I think for Padre Pio, it was something very important. Kasi if you know the life of Padre Pio, yun ang kanyang naging kakaibang pagtawag. He carried the stigmata for 50 years. 50 years na hindi gumagaling yung kanyang sugat sa kamay, sa tagiliran, at sa paa. Hindi dahil sa diabetic siya. Pero yun ang naging calling sa kanya. And the wounds, they said, actually were hurting and bleeding. Although, Padre Pio was not losing blood. Kasi every now and then, chinecheck siya yung kanyang, yung kanyang doktor. Kung nagkakaroon siya ng loss of blood. Pero bleeding siya. But, 50 years na dala-dala niya yun. Pero nung mamatay siya, nawala. So, dala lang niya habang buhay siya. Pero nung mamatay siya, yung stigmata na yun, nawala. So, yun ang tawag doon sa mga wounds na yun. Stigmata. Yun yung mga wounds na dala-dala ng ibang mga tao in honor of the cross of Jesus. Of course, they are not, you don't make them, they are given as a grace of God. Si St. Francis may stigmata rin. Complete din yung kay St. Francis. Parang si Padre Pio kasi ay Franciscan Capuchin. Karamihan sa may stigmata were Franciscan saints. Franciscan saints. Well, probably because yun ay bahagi ng kanilang vision bilang mga Franciscans to be devoted to the story of Jesus as the Word made flesh. So, yun, the stations of the cross. Technically, the word station means stop. Kahit naman nagta-travel ka, di ba? Pag sinasabi mo, dyan tayo sa istasyon. Di ba? Pag sinabi station, it is a point of stopping. Di ba? Eh, natatawa ko yung iba pag ino-observe ko pag Holy Thursday, nagbibisita iglesia, tapos mag-station of the cross, mabilisan. Isang bisa. Meron pa tayong 6 na simbahan. No? Pagkatapos niyan ay kailangan pang magmerienda. Yeah. So, now, what we will use for our reflective exercise at this point is the scriptural way of the cross that was started by Saint John Paul II in 1991. In 1991, Saint John Paul II decided to revise a little the Stations of the Cross para mas maging Bible-based. Kaya inalis yung mga wala sa kwento ng Bible tulad ni Veronica, yung first, yung second at yung third fall, inalis yung mga yan. No? So ginawang mas sunod sa kwento ng gospel. So, yun ang ginawa ni John Paul II, 1991. Sinimulan niya yung New Stations of the Cross na yun. To think it is also John Paul II who added the luminous mystery. Diba? That Holy Family prays every Thursday, kasi every Thursday talaga yun. No? So, yung luminous mystery. Kasi nga, Pope John Paul II was saying, you have a Christmas mystery, joyful. You have a Holy Week mystery, sorrowful. You have a glorious mystery, Easter. Sabi niya, pero yung 3 years ng public ministry ni Lord, hindi nagawan ng mystery. Yun yung mystery of the light. Kinuha yung highlights ng 3 years na public ministry ng Panginoon. No? So, by this time, you have memorized them. Baptism.
Wedding at Cana.
Ha?
Wedding at Cana.
Yung wedding at Cana. Then,
Institution of the Holy
the preaching of the kingdom. And then, transfiguration. Then,
Institution of the Eucharist.
the institution of the Eucharist. Yes. Now, so we will follow what John Paul II started in 1991, which was adopted by Cardinal Sin for Manila in 1992. Alam niyo, magkaano yun, magkasabot yung dalawang, they are friends. No? It is well known that whenever Cardinal Sin goes to Rome, even without a pass, he goes to the office of John Paul II straight. No? Defying protocol. Ang visa niya, isang basket ng mangga. Yan ang favorite kasi ni Pope John Paul II, no? Mangoes. Anyway, so let's see. Kung sinasabi ng Panginoon na ang trademark, ang marka ng pagsunod sa Kanya, especially by Christian leaders, is the cross. The cross daily. So, ano ang ano ang itinuturo sa atin ng krus ni Kristo regarding Christian leadership and service? Okay? So now we will make our way of the cross, but this time we will do it reflecting on Christian leadership. Yan. No? So, Siguro, pwede nyo itong i-review when you will make your own way of the cross later in the Holy Week. No? So, the first station is the Last Supper. No? Yun yung sa bagong way of the cross. The first of the 14 way of the cross is the Last Supper. And, it is a Passover supper. It was a supper that Jesus celebrated with the disciples, commemorating the story of Exodus. Taon-taon yan kasi binabalikan ng mga Israelites yan. Yung kanilang paglaya mula sa 420 taon ng pagkaalipin sa Egypt. So, it's a very powerful collective memory para sa mga Hudyo. And so they bring it back every year. It's a family tradition. No? The family celebrates it every year. No? So the Lord celebrated it, yung tinawag na Last Supper kasi it was the last Passover with the disciples. Now, in the Passover, usually you have a lamb. Kasi kung babalikan nyo yung kwento ng Exodus, ang pinaka-highlights ng kwento ng Exodus is eating the Passover lamb. Yung kordero na ang dugo noon ay ginamit ni na Moses upang pintahan ang pinto ng kanilang mga bahay. And because of that, the angel of death passed over. Nilaktawan, kaya Passover. No? Nilaktawan yung mga pintuan na may dugo. So the lamb became the saving lamb. Kaya nga, the Lamb of God who takes away. Yun, no? So anyway, as the Lord ate the Passover, of course, it is said that there could have been a lamb, but it was not highlighted in the story because in the Passover of Jesus, the Last Supper, He was the lamb. Siya yung kordero. Kaya kasabi niya, this is my body. Itong aking katawan. So, ang piniraso ay hindi yung kordero. There could have been a kordero, but the most important thing is Jesus wanted the disciples to understand that He is the new sacrifice, the new lamb, and His flesh and blood is for us. Now, if we pause a while and we reflect, anong ibig sabihin nito sa isang Christian leader? Well, I see two things, dalawang bagay. Una, sa kwento ng Last Supper, the first station of the cross, we are reminded, my dear brothers and sisters, that leadership as a service is rooted and is inspired by the Eucharist. So, dapat bilang mga Christian leaders, that must be at the very heart of our spirituality, yung Eucharist. Kasi doon, we are connected to Jesus. He is the Lamb who says, this is my body. So, daily Eucharist, Alam niyo, marami sa mga naging magagaling na leader ng simbahan were very Eucharistic in their devotion. Pag madalaw kayo sa Poland and you pass by the place of Pope John Paul II, Karol Wojtyła, and you go and visit yung kanyang ginamit na Archbishop's Palace, they will show to you the chapel of the palace that they have not changed since John Paul II left the place. What's strange in the chapel? You will see an office desk. No? Sabi nila, yun daw ang satellite office ni Wojtyła nung araw. Pag wala siyang kausap na bisita, he would take the papers that he signs, things that you will have to read, take them to the chapel, and stay there before the Lord in the Eucharist. So yun ang kanya satellite office. Kung di mo siya makita doon sa opisina niya, nandun siya. So that is where he studies, that is where he would compose his letters, etc. No? Very Eucharistic. And, I think very important din yun na as leaders, yun ang magiging isang napakahalagang bahagi ng buhay natin, yung ating prayer life. No? Prayer life po natin. No? Centering on the presence of the Lord. Now, we remind ourselves na, okay, hindi ako nag-iisa. I am serving as a leader always with the presence of the Lord. Pero maliban dyan, the second point ng station na to is this. Anong ginawa ni Lord? He took the bread, He blessed the bread, He broke the bread, and He shared. Took, blessed, broke, and shared. Yung apat na salitang yon, no? Verbs, action words. Diba? They say that is also the action of a leader. You're a leader when you take all that you have. You're a leader when you take all that you have and you ask God to bless. And after that, you break and you share. Hindi lang break and share, ha? You first ask the Lord to bless. To take, to bless, to break, and to share. Yun yung spirituality talaga ng Eucharist. Yun ang buhay ni Jesus. Binigay lahat, lahat ay blessing galing sa Ama. He was broken. You cannot be shared if you cannot be broken. Di ba? Yung tinapay, hindi mo pwedeng kainin buo. You have to break. Diba? Yung fried chicken, bago mo makain yun, pinipiraso mo yun. Not unless you're a Komodo dragon. Diba? So, that's how we are shared. We have to be broken to be shared. Kaya, bahagi yun ng leadership. So, yun po yung richness ng first station of the cross. No? The second station is the agony in the garden. Gethsemane. Those who have gone to the Holy Lands, of course, they know this comes at the end of Holy Thursday. Jesus moves from the cenacle, which is on Mount Zion, and Jesus moved down and went to the other mountain called the Mount of Olives, Gethsemane. At doon nanalangin ng magdamag si Lord. Sabi nga doon sa Gospel of Luke, napaka-intense ng prayer ni Jesus that He sweated blood. Sweated blood. Ganong ka-tense at intense yung kanyang panalangin. Now, if we try to reflect on this station of the cross and extract, ano naman yung sinasabi dito ni Lord about Christian leadership? Well, my dear brothers and sisters, I think one very important message here is that when one is a leader, our leadership is to be able to discern, not just decide, but discern what, not only the best, but what is the will of God. And alam nyo, a very, very strong struggle in leadership is when you see that maraming beses, what is best is not necessarily God's will. Minsan makikita mo yun. Kung ako lang ito pero parang hindi ito yung hinihingi. No? Yung struggle between what I see, what I want, and what is God's will. No? Minsan gusto ko ito sana, itong mangyari, ito. No? Pero the Lord is still showing you, hindi pa time. And, you know, one particular sign that it is not time is that probably hindi ka maintindihan ng lahat. So, the struggle of doing what you want and what God wants. Kaya meron nga tayong expression in His time. Diba? Oo, in His time. Hindi lang yung maganda, but the good thing in His time. At yun yung prayer ni Jesus sa Garden of Gethsemane. Sabi niya, Father, not my will, but your will be done. Yun ang palagi struggle ng Christian leader. Discernment. To discern. No? Yeah. So leadership involves discernment. Then, station number 3. Station number 3 is that pagkatapos niyang maaresto, dinala si Lord sa trial ng council na kung tawagin ng mga Hudyo ay Sanhedrin. It is the Supreme Council of the Jews. And they met that night in the house of Caiaphas. Yeah, in the church that is built in the house of Caiaphas, there is a beautiful mosaic sa main altar showing Jesus in the middle of the council of the Sanhedrin. No? So, ito yung mga pinagsama ng mga representatives ng mga Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes. Sabi nila, there could have been about 70 of them. Ilan tayo ngayon? Ha? 26. Oh. No. Ilan? 26. Okay. Oo. Oh. So, ang Sanhedrin, 70. So, if ever they need a decision, they have to come together, 70. Pero ang nangyari, when Jesus was arrested, they made a special illegal session. Special kasi hindi naman wala silang scheduled meeting. Illegal, bakit? Kasi gabi. In those times, it was not a custom to do meetings at night. Kaya pag nag-meeting kayo sa gabi, yun ay illegal. Midnight meeting. Ganon. So, yun yung nangyari. Kasi, pinapabilis nila yung trial ni Lord. Baka kasi may mangyari na hindi maasahan. Kaya ganon sila. Now, if we look at this third station and we reflect on Christian leadership, what does this particular station of the cross remind us about Christian leaders and leadership and service? Here, I think, we are made to understand, my dear brothers and sisters, that one of the great pain of a Christian leader is to be rejected, to be misunderstood. Even if you're doing the good things, exactly yun yung nangyari kay Lord. He was put on trial for good things that he did, which were misunderstood because the leaders had a different understanding of the law of Moses, the Sabbath. Yeah. No? So, yung part na leadership yung rejection, yung being misunderstood. But wait, alam nyo, madaling matanggap na ikaw ay rejected at misunderstood kung yung rejection at misunderstanding galing sa iba. Pero dito, galing sa loob, galing sa council. Minsan sasabihin mo, di ba dapat ako suportahan? Diba? Pero dito parang pinapakita ng Panginoon na all human organizations have their limits. Lahat, may limits yan. Human eh. Kahit na yung parokya, may limits yan. Oh, human yan. Kahit na yung Catholic Bishops' Conference, may limits yan. Oh. Kasi mga tao rin yan. Oh. E di lalo na ang Holy Family ME Community. Oh, diba? Oh. So, if we serve as leaders, we must know na yung ganong experience could happen. May happen. Yung misunderstanding na yan, which is indicating the brokenness of a human institution. Yung Sanhedrin is a human institution. Although it was the highest council of the Jews, it was still human. Diba? And it's good to keep that in mind. Kasi kung minsan, kung may mga nangyayari kung minsan, Father, ganito, bakit ganito, Father? Anong nangyayari? We are dealing with a human institution. Kaya, yun. Tulungan natin na mas maging maayos. Pero kung may nangyayari, it is part of the experience of service. Now, let's go into the fourth. The fourth station is the scourging and the crowning with thorns. The scourging and the crowning with thorns. And itong scourging and crowning with thorns, this happened already under the authority of Pontius Pilate. Kasi kung maalala ninyo sa kwento ng pasyon, inilipat ang Panginoong Hesus mula sa Sanhedrin, nilipat nila ang trial kay Pontius Pilate sa Roman court. Kasi nga, hindi pwedeng magpataw ng death sentence ang Sanhedrin. Kailangan yung Roman court ang magpapataw ng death sentence. Kasi sila yung may hawak ng empire. And Israel was under the empire. So it was a very, very pagan experience, yung scourging, crowning with thorns. This is one of the cruelest part of a crucifixion. Na bago i-crucify yung tao, ay talagang tinotorture mo, pinapahirapan. Sabi nga nila, kahit hindi matuloy yung crucifixion, mamamatay din. Dahil dun sa pahirap na dinaanan. No? So, I think here, very, very vividly, ay pinapakita po sa atin na ang paglilingkod, leadership, may also involve bodily pain, bodily sacrifice. Sakit ng katawan, sakit ng ulo, no? Sakit ng paa. No? Christian leadership is not simply spiritual, it involves our bodies. Oras, energy. Diba? So, yun, bahagi yan. I encountered Pope John Paul II a year before he died at the Vatican, at the end of a one-month meeting in Rome. So I had the chance to see him in a private audience. And I could not help but compare. The first time I saw John Paul II was when he first came to the Philippines. And we were in high school then. I could still remember, ang ginamit niya ay hindi Pope Mobile. Ang ginamit niya ay float Malasampagita Pictures. Oo, float. Naka-float siya. Nakatayo siya sa ibabaw ng float kasama ni Cardinal at yung kanyang canopy ay husi. High school kami noon. Yun yung unang dating niya dito. No? He was I think he was a little bit over 50 years old. He was a very young pope at that time. No? Very strong. Yung boses niya was very baritone. No? Pag kumanta siya, baritone na baritone. Eh, no? And, talagang, puging. May, siya, makikita mo na, he has a very good bearing. No? But through the years, you see how he has also gone through the physical wear and tear of leadership. Yan. Sino sa inyo dito matagal ng leader ng Holy Family? Mula ministry head, assistant ministry head, no? Tingnan nyo ngayon yung katawan niya. Tumoble na. Diba? Leadership involves our bodies. No? And totoo yun, it could be that there will be moments that part of serving as a leader is going through your own experience of scourging and crowning with thorns, no? Headaches, no? Etc. I remember when we were in the height of the construction of the altar of Our Lady of Sorrows, no? There will be times when I would be waken up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I realize wala akong pansweldo. Kahit anong tingin ko doon sa 2 passbook, di ko alam kung paano ko i-juggle yung funds. No? May materials ka pa. May progressive billing pa yung contractor. No? Buti lang, bait ng contractor na binigay ni Lord sa akin. Sabi niya pa, Father, ipo progressive billing lang kita, pero bigay mo lang kung anong kaya, sabi niya. Pero ako kanya, tatapusin ko to ng mabilis, kasi pag hindi, lugi ako. Gumanon lang siya sa akin. Kaya tapos na yung altar, may binabayaran pa ako. Pero natapos din. No? Tapos nung matapos, sabi sa akin, Father, kung may pagagawa ka pa, tawagan mo ako. Sabi ko, hindi na nadala to. Hindi, pero sigurado kasi siya siguro, sabi niya, magbabayad dyan. Di ba? Ang mahirap dun, ang bibiting ka, tapos hindi na magbabayad. Yun. Pero, pero mo, gigising ka ng hating gabi, isipin mo lahat yun. So, that is our own experience of scourging and crowning with thorns. When we lead, when we serve, we don't only lead and serve with our spirits, with our bodies. The fifth station, Jesus receives the cross. So pag sinabi natin na Christian leadership is the mystery of the cross, no? Ano ang ibig sabihin nitong fifth station na ito? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng cross? Pasakit? But I think we have to qualify it more. Pag sinabi nating krus ni Jesus, tinanggap ni Jesus ang krus. Bakit nagkaroon ng krus si Jesus? Kasi yun ay bahagi ng kanyang papel bilang Mesiyas. Kung siya'y Mesiyas, siya'y manunubos, paano niya tutubusin tayo? Kailangan sa krus. So, brothers and sisters, when you speak about the cross means sacrifices that go with our commitment. Hindi lang basta-basta sacrifice. No? But sacrifices that go with our commitment. Bawa, kung nanay ka, ano ang mga commitment ng pagkananay? Ano ang sacrifice na kasama doon? Yun ang cross. So, hindi lang basta-basta sacrifice, but sacrifice that go with our commitment. Bahagi ng iyong sinumpaan na pananagutan. Yun yung cross. So, I think that's very true. Kung titignan mo, lahat naman kasi ng leadership positions, they all have their own meaning, their own sacrifices, their own consequences. Yeah. Yun ang krus. Siguro, kung nais natin na maging leader sa pattern ni Jesus, it's not enough to look at the cross, yung sacrifice na kasama sa commitment mo. You must be able to embrace the cross. I think the key word there is embrace. Yeah. To embrace the cross. Ma-share ko lang. Tatlo kami magkakapatid. Ako panganay. Yung bunso ay nasa abroad kasi ang kanyang asawa ay hindi Pilipino. So, she lives abroad. Ako naman, since I became a priest in 1988, very limited yung capacity ko na pumunta sa bahay, makialam sa dapat ayusin sa bahay. So, ang talagang may responsibilidad nun, yung gitna, yung kapatid ko, yung sumunod sa akin, yung gitna. She had a booming career as a banker. And she was into credit investigations at that time. Nung magsimulang magkasakit ang mother ko. So every now and then, nasa gitna siya ng trabaho sa opisina, tatawagan siya ng katulong, ate, ganito, ganyan. So, alis siya ng maaga sa opisina, uwi. Kasi kahit anong galing ng katulong mo, hindi naman siya pwede mag-desisyon. Di ba? Oh. It came to the point that my sister talked with me, sabi niya, I am retiring early. Kasi sabi niya, I have accepted na yan ang responsibility ko sa pamilya. Yung dalawa. Akong caretaker nila. And I'm retiring early. And of course, it meant a very hard decision kasi kaya it meant that she would lose lahat ng kanyang privileges with her work, no? Etc. Pero yun, sabi niya, iyan ang buhay ko eh. Yan ang papel na gagampanan ko sa family. So, she embraced it well. Kaya nga, I have a lot of debt of gratitude sa kanya. Kasi nga, yung hindi ko magampanan bilang panganay, siya gumagampan. So, lahat tayo ganyan. Kung may leadership position ka, may consequence yan. Diba? And part of our service is not just to do things, but to know how to embrace ito yung consequence. Now, let's go to the next station. Jesus falls under the weight of the cross. This is station number 6. Of course, in the explanations of many Bible scholars, sabi nila, nagsama-sama na dyan. Kahit nasabihin mo na si Jesus ay Son of God, but let us remember that Jesus is also 100% human. So, wala siyang tulog magdamag, dehydrated, tinorture, kahit anong lakas ng tao, at this point, mangihina at bumagsak. And here, my dear brothers and sisters, I think we are reminded we should never be ashamed that part of leadership service is the humility to accept that there will be moments when we fail, when we commit faults, when we have failures. Hindi naman tayo mga leader na Superman o Wonder Woman. So, bahagi yun ng experience ng pagiging leader. Times of failing, times of being at fault, times of failures. And the humility to be able to accept it that way. Bahagi yun ng ating human limitedness pagiging mga leader. Just to be able to be humble to well, oversight to. So, minsan alam niya, Pilipino, may maling sense ng iyak. Ay, huwag na nakakahiyak. Diba? Pero there are moments that part of being a Christian is to say, well, mukhang yan hindi ko nagawa. Yeah. It's, I think, a call to humility in that manner. I don't know what was your own great experience of undergoing humiliation this way. Part of your work, you committed something, a failure, a human failure, and it's part of it. Number 7. The seventh station is Simon of Cyrene carries the cross of Jesus. When you research, you would notice that Simon of Cyrene was actually just a passerby. Dumadaan lang siya. Galing siya sa bukid. By this time, lagay na natin mag-aalas 3 ng hapon, tapos na yung gawain niya sa bukid, pauwi na siya. In fact, the Gospel of Mark would tell you, he was aching to go home because he has 2 sons. One of them is named Rufus sa Gospel of Mark. So, passerby siya. And yet, when he was asked to help, he helped Jesus carry the cross. Alam niyo po, we were talking about humility in station number 6. Humility because of my failures. Humility because of my faults. But in this 7th station, we are asked to see that Christian leadership and service also means humility to accept that we need others' help. We need others' help. And bahagi yun ng ng humility na tanggapin na hindi ko kaya. Kailangan ko ng tulong. Diba? Kaya pag minsan tinanong mo yung iba, bakit hindi ka nagpatulong? Kakahiya. Nakakahiya. Kaya kinaya ko. Yung pala, hindi kaya. Tinalo ko na. And it's part of humility. To be able to tell people, ganito lang mo ako, baka pwede natin pagtulungan. It's humility. And also to know that there are people who are just standing by and willing to help. Other people help us, but we also know how we should also know how to enable others na mag-participate. There was one time I was in a community and I think, we were eating. And at that point, medyo parang I didn't feel comfortable kasi everybody was serving me. Everybody was serving me. Tubig. Sabi ko nga, kulang na lang himayin yung talangka. Pero actually, in Pampanga, spoiled doon ng mga amo. Talagang hinihimay yung swahe. I saw that. Simbang gabi. Hindi pa ako pari noon. Nag-a-assist lang ako doon sa pari namin. Talagang hinihimay yung swahe. Anyway, I felt uncomfortable kasi parang, sabi ko doon sa ako na lang tatayo na lang ako kukuha. Tapos sinaway ako nung isang kasama ko doon sa table. Sabi, Father, Let them serve you. It is their joy. Ganon din. Minsan sa atin sa ministry, ganon din. We have also to enable others to participate. Diba? O kapatid, tulong ako. Huwag na, kaya ko to. Maliit lang to. Oh, let them. Kasi alam mo, that could be their way of really also doing what they want to do. It's also a way of blessing them. Para ba sinabi, oh sige. Kasi, lalo-lalo na sa ministry, people see it as a time to do something for God. So, kung music yan, do something for God with music. No? Do something for God with whatever ministry that they are assigned. You let them be. Enable them to do it also. No? Huwag nating ipagkait sa kanila yung gusto nilang mag-participate. So, it's part of that beautiful ministry of sharing. Kaya ngayon, alam niyo, yung mga pare ng Archdiocese of Manila medyo naninibago. Because Cardinal Advincula started what they were doing in Mindanao and in Visayas, yung mission station, mission team. Walang kura. Tatlong pare-pareho. Walang kura. Mission team. Alin man sa kanila pwedeng magsahin bilang kura. Siyempre, yung mga paring Maynila, nasanay yan sa may kura. No? At kung sino yung kura, yun ang hari. Oo. Yan. May minsan, alam mo, may mga kura din si Raulo. Kawawa yung batang pare na assistant. Ako, nakikisama ka. Kasi siyempre, ang magdi-decide ng pagkain, yung kura. Magdi-decide ng budget ng bahay, yung kura. Nakikisama yung pobreng assistant. Nangyayari yung father, oo, tao din yun eh. Oo. Yan. Diba? Kaya, let's give each one a space, no? Jesus could have carried the cross, pero at that point, He allowed Simon of Cyrene to also be part of the story. Then number 8, Jesus meets the pious women of Jerusalem. Ano sabi ni Lord dito sa mga babaeng ito? Ang kwentong ito ay sa Gospel of Luke. No? Habang naglalakad si Jesus, siya ay sinundan at meron siya nakasalubong na mga kababaihan na taga Jerusalem who started to weep. Yan. At ano sabi ni Lord sa kanila? Do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and for your children. Sipin mo ha, do not weep for me. Di ko lang kung doon kinuha yung Don't Cry for Me Argentina. Pero yeah, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and weep for your children. You know, that's very striking. Isipin mo, Jesus was in pain. No, di ba? In pain. Probably his whole body was rocking in pain. No? Kasi, alam niyo, pag makita niyo yung klase ng hagupit na ginamit ng mga Romans, yung Roman flagellation, kung tawagin. You can Google it. Ibang klase yun. No? Yung panghampas, usually ay kadena. No? Pero yung kadena, yung dulo ng kadena, nagsasama ng 3-4. Tapos, yung dulo ng bawat sanga, may kawit. No? Kaya paghataw na gano'n, kabit. Pagbawi,
Sa malaman.
wakwak. No? So, the whole body was really wounded yung buong body niya. No? And for the Lord to say, okay lang ako, weep for yourselves. Weep for yourselves. Brothers and sisters, dito tinuturuan tayo ni Lord. Lahat ng leaders na sumusunod kay Lord, may sariling dala. Lahat tayo may dala. No? Pero bahagi ng ating pong service is tulad ni Jesus na hindi natin dinadahilan yung dala natin. No? Upang hindi gawin ang kayang gawin. Lahat tayo may dala. Minsan nga, mabibigla ka eh. Sumasabay. Sumasabay. Kung kailan ka may service, sasabay. Oo. And, yun nga, yun ang challenge. Ano gagawin ko ngayon? Oh? And that is one of those big moments na nandun yung challenge natin before the Lord. To be like the Lord. To be like the Lord. Na pwede natin na nandun yung dala ko pero hindi ko idadahilan na dahil doon hindi ko magagawa ang ibang bagay. So, yun. That is the 8th station. Now let us go into the 9th station. In the 9th station, Jesus is stripped and nailed to the cross. Sabi nila, ito raw ang huling pamamaraan sa crucifixion na ipinapahiya yung kriminal na i-crucify. Naalis lahat. Walang saplot. Walang saplot as in wala. No? Kahit bahag. Wala. It's part of the shaming process. Sabi nga nila sa English, no? It's part of the shaming process of the criminal. Naalis lahat. But I think here is a wonderful and very vivid picture of the Lord telling us that the way of the cross means seeing that our leadership and service involves detachments. Detachments. Ano-ano yung mga iba-iba experience natin, ha? Ano-ano yung mga experience mo ng detachment while serving? Alam nyo, Ako po very sensitive sa amoy. Yung amoy, yung amoy panis, very sensitive ako. And one of the things I had to learn was pagsabak mo dun sa dikit-dikit na bahay ng mga informal settlers dun sa parokya. Papasok ka na hindi na gano'n. Nalala ko nung nag-o-orient yung madre ng Assumption sa exposure ng kanilang mga high school students sa isang depressed area. Ayun ang isa sila. Sabi niya, girls, when you go to the place, please don't take out your handkerchiefs. Hirap mo. Kasi pagpasok mo, sari-saring mo yun. Kasi hindi ka maglalanan. A detachment from that. Pero ngayon, okay na ako. Kakain pa ako. Ha? Makikikain ko pa rin. Father, ano gusto mo? Kape? Eh, alam niyo, pag pumasok ka sa mga area gano'n, yung kape nila hindi sa ganito. Nakalagay sa kristal ng Nescafe. Kaping tundo. At siyempre, pag makikikape ka doon, eh ako na, I am used to brewed coffee. Alam niyo na LB yan. Brewed coffee, no sugar. Eh, siyempre, pag umupo ako doon, alam sa, may brewed coffee kayo? Siyempre, titimplehin nila sa iyo, 3-in-1. Na ang lamang ay asukal. No? Di ba? It's a detachment. When you have to be there, just being with them, no? Tapos siyempre, pag umikot ka sa area, makita ka. Ni-require nila ako magganito eh. Kasi nung una, hindi ako nagaganito. Alam niyo na solid family. Hindi ako naglalagay ng ganyan. No? Sabi niya, Father, maglagay ka naman ng krus kung ayaw mong mag-clerical. Kasi, lalo nung bago ako. Kasi pag umiikot ako, ano ba yung bagong parish priest? Mukhang pulis. Eh, delikado pala, baka makursunada ako, mukhang pulis. Sabi sa akin ng mga parish leaders, sige, Father, maglagay ka muna ng krus. Kahit anong krus, basta may krus. So anyway, pag umikot ka na, makita ka. Yan, mano. Dito, pawisan noo. Mano. Alam mo, pag pawisan yun, no? Pakalalal ko. Okay ba? Ay, bilib ako kay Erap. I was with him during some of his campaigns. Wow! Ibang klase. Hindi mo maano yung sanay siya. Halikan siya, medyo ganun po dito, medyo pawis-pawis na malagkit-lagkit. Sabi nga ni Dr. Lloyd, sabi niya, alam mo, hindi ko alam kung ano yung Father, hindi nag-alcohol. Wala. Kaya sabi ko, it's something that is part of a detachment. Hirap. Pero siyempre tayo may kanya-kanya. Kasi iba-iba yung preferences natin eh. No? At when you begin to serve in a community, you have to, yung sinasabi natin sa ME na empathy, yung empathy hindi lamang po yun sa salita, hindi lamang po yun sa feelings. Yung empathy is also in your way of acting. No? To be stripped of your detachments. Ano ba yung mga detachment ko? That normally I struggle when I serve. Ano yung mga detachment? 10th station. The story of the repentant thief. Yan. The repentant thief. And I think here, very obviously, we are made to see that to be a true Christian leader is to learn how to be forgiving. To learn how to be forgiving. Without violent thoughts, without hidden sentiments, to learn to be forgiving. Alam nyo, ang experience ko dito sa point na ito that I can relate to is many times when you come to a position of service in the community, people will give you certain information. Ako, Father, ingat ka kay ganyan. Alam mo si ganyan? Ako, hindi mo pa yung kilala. Sila, no? Wawarningan lang kita, Father. Baka sabihin mo, hindi ka namin sinabihan. Now, that's good. Pero kung minsan, yung ganong klase ng paunang salita can already open a bias for you. Diba? Kaya pag tinignan mo yung tao, para bang may kulay na agad. No? And I think here, that is what we learn from Jesus on the cross. Hindi niya sinabi doon sa thief, ano ba kaso mo? Anong kaso? Ilang beses ka na ba? Ito na lang yun. And, we have to be very careful also with ourselves. Pero, siguro, we have also to know how to balance yung prudence with giving a room for others to show that they can change. Giving a room for others to redeem themselves, di ba? Or at least, alam niyo what I found very helpful in the parish? Lalo-lalo na kung napapansin ko na medyo totoo yung sinabi sa akin. Mukhang may katotohanan yung sinabi. Yung paunang report. I usually take the time to talk with the person. Straight. Alam mo, bago ako dito sa parokya, I appreciate how helpful you are, pero may na-notice lang ako. At ito rin yung sinabi sa akin nung iba pagdating ko noon. Diba? Diretsuhin na kita. Ito yung na-observe ko. Pero sa akin, I know you can be better. And I think many people are just waiting to be given yung ganun din na moment of grace. Now we go to number 11. The 11th station, Mary and John at the foot of the cross. Mary and John at the foot of the cross. Alam niyo, napaka-striking na even as Jesus was at the height of His ministry sa cross, yun ang taluktok ng kanyang misyon. Yun ang taluktok ng kanyang ministry. Jesus at the cross. You take notice that Jesus had the most kind words for His mother. The most kind words for the mother. And Jesus was making provision for His mother. Alam niya, iiwan niya. Kaya kailangan ibilin. Iiwan niya. And I think, my dear brothers and sisters in the community, this is also a very important reminder in Christian leadership. To know how to balance our service with our own care and responsibility of family. Malimit sa hindi kung minsan ang nagiging problema sa Christian leadership is that we can be very, very much into our service with ministry, with apostolate, with the community, that we neglect also the family. Lalo-lalo na if you have growing up children. Don't neglect it. Balance. O kung pwede mong i-blend, i-blend mo. Isama mo yung family mo. Kasi, if we are not able to do that, we are not able to do that, then, we may be developing the faith of others, but baka hindi yun maintindihan nung bata, nung family member mo. Diba? Hindi niya maintindihan. Kaya nga, palagay ko kung minsan ang problema ng mga family-oriented na mga groups tulad ng marriage encounter, hindi automatic na yung husband and wife very committed sa apostolate. Pero yung mga bata afterwards, yung mga anak nila, they don't follow. They don't follow. Hindi pa dapat na kung yung mother and father know very well the marriage encounter, later on, yung mga anak nila will also embrace the same kind of an apostolate. So, saan yung kulang? Maring doon sa puntong yun na nagre-react yung anak kasi hindi na balanse yung commitment. And you have to find a way. Balance, but more especially, blend kung kayang i-blend. Yun. So don't forget that palagi natin sinasabi, even in our ME weekend, the family is the domestic church. So sana, yun ay bigyan natin ng hindi na maayos but relevant na application. Okay? We are now into station number 12. Station number 12 tells us about the death of Jesus on the cross. Jesus dies on the cross. He says, "It is finished," and he bowed and had his last breath. And here I think we are made to see that leadership and service involves not only detachment, it also involves dying to self. Dying to self. And that it is a service of a lifetime. It's a service of a lifetime. So many times we are challenged to undergo this experience of dying to self. No? Iba-ibang uri yan. Pagkamatay sa sarili, iba't ibang uri yan. How do I die to myself? So, yon, iba't ibang mga uri yon. Different forms of dying to self. But also, living the service for a lifetime. The 13th station is Jesus is laid in the tomb. Jesus is buried. He rests in the tomb for 3 days. Sabi nga nila, it has to be 3 days to understand that Jesus really died. But only 3 days because in that manner, Jesus cheats death. Kasi alam nyo, kung babasahin nyo yung kwento ni Lazarus, no? Nag-object si Martha na buksan yung grave kasi sabi niya, 4th day na Lord, 4th day na. Ba't ano ibig sabihin ng 4th day? Sa understanding, sa pangunawa po ng mga Hudyo, pag ang isang namatay ay nasa ika-4 na araw na ng pagkalibing, yun ay wala na. Wala na talaga. Now, remember during those days, they were not using embalming. Walang embalming. Kaya, first, second, third, sabi na, baka may mangyari pa. Kasi nakaaligid pa yung kaluluwa. But on the fourth day, sabi nila, definite na the soul has left the body. Yun ang Jewish thought. No? Yun ang Jewish understanding. No? So, the Lord was on the grave 3 days. He really died, but only 3 days to show us that He cheated death. He died, but death never overpowered the Lord. So, He dies. Now, let's focus first on the burying in the tomb. Ano ang pwedeng maging reflection natin dito about our way of life as Christian leaders? Well, I think here as Christian leaders, we are made to see that part of the cycle, bahagi ng cycle, bahagi ng gulong ng buhay, ay yung marunong kang tumapos, marunong kang magbaon ng mga dapat ibaon at limutin. Minsan yun ang sakit natin. Habang buhay, hindi ko yan makakalimutan. Bata ka. May mga bagay na dapat malunong tayong tapusin at limutin pagkatapos. No? Yun yung tinatawag po natin sa English na healing of memories. There is no healing of memories kung hindi ka marunong ibaon ang dapat ibaon at mag-move on. No? Hindi ka pwedeng mag-move on na walang baon. Diba? Minsan, isipin mo, tagal na nito. And it's something that is very important for us, not only spiritually, but also it is important for us for our mental health. The other day, yung aming Bible study sa isang grupo, natapos sa kwentuhan about mental health. Ang dami ngayon na ganyan na mga usapan. Mental health. Bakit talaga bang marami ang mental ngayon? Anong problema? Kasi, people can be very, very rigid with their thoughts, with their memories. They can be very rigid. Alam niyo, napansin ko yan lalo na sa millennials. Sa millennials. Minsan, naisip ko, anong issue dun? Pero sa kanila, malaking issue yun. Bakit? Kasi masyado silang nakakapit dun sa isang bagay. Ganon sila. Palipasin. Hindi, mami. Mali. Palipasin mo nga. Hindi ko naman sinasabing huwag mo sabihin mali. Basta, okay, mali na, pero okay, lipasin mo na. Diba? Yes.
Father, paano mawawala o paano magpapahulog? Utang na loob.
Ang utang na loob, tinatanaw. Tinatanaw mo yung utang na loob. Pero, hindi ka nagpapatali doon. Kung tinatali ka, ang may problema doon, yung ibang tao. Oh. Kasi, ang utang na loob, hindi mo naman maaalis yung utang na loob. Habang buhay yan, utang na loob. Tatanawin ko yung utang na loob. Pero utang na loob din, huwag mo ko itali. Diba? Oh. Yan, ano. Yun ang ano doon. Kaya nga, well, I think, kung ganon, ang may problema doon yung ibang tao. But what can you do? Well, I think, you have to appreciate what they have done to you. Always appreciate God. Na mo, utang na loob ko to sa'yo. Pero, ibig sabihin ng hanggang dito na lang tayo. May buhay din ako. But then if there are times na you have to appreciate, you appreciate that. Ganun lang. You appreciate that. Pero, kung ano man yung improvement sa buhay na dapat mong gawin, go. Yun. Medyo, ano yan eh, medyo, may ibang tao, they understand that. May ibang tao naman very insistent yan. Yan. Eh, minsan kasi, kahit naman mali sila, ang akala nila, mali sila, kahit mali sila, dahil may utang na loob ka, kailangan depensa ka sa kanila. Diba? Ganun yung iba eh. Pero it doesn't have to be that way. And if there is a way to talk with a person in a friendly manner, in a loving manner, then you have to be able to explain it to them. Kasi kawawa din naman siya. No? Kawawa din naman siya. In the last analysis, siya yung nakatali. Siya yung nakatali. Kasi yun na yung kanyang paradigm eh. Yun na yung isip niya eh. Doon na. Which, actually, hindi naman natin. Yun. Huh? Pero, learn to say finish. Kung finish. Kung ano na ang kailangan tapusin, what it is that needs to be buried, and you go on. That is part of the cycle, no? of life, that you know how to discard what needs to be discarded. Kaya, kahit sa cellphone, tignan nyo. Kailangan every now and then, i-review mo yung mga pictures mo. Kasi store ka ng store yung pala, hindi mo na kailangan yung picture na yun. Oo, nabayaran mo na yung resibo yun, nasa picture mo pa. O, kaya palang bagal na ng takbo ng cellphone mo. Kasi, puno yung memory. Kahit na yung mga memory na dapat i-trash na. No? So, every now and then you have to know how to reclassify, declassify, no? Yung buhay na dinadaanan. Ako, I do that in my office kasi nakatambak yung mga papel. No? Ako naman, pag dumating ang importante, importante. Wala, puro importante, ganyan ka pa. No? Tapos pag review ko, paso na pala ito. Tapon, gano'n na naman. Di ba? Pag hindi, mapupuno ka. Yan. Now, let's go to the 14th and the last station. Jesus rises from death. I think the big message here about Christian leadership and service, my dear friends, is that we are made to understand, like Jesus, we are leaders who are supposed to be sources of hope. Hope. To be sources of hope. So, and I think that is one of the great service of leadership, to be sources of hope. Na sana, huwag sa ating manggagaling yung discouragement ng iba. Lalong-lalo. Things may not always be bright, pero as Christian leaders, that is our big responsibility. How to keep the fire of hope burning. How to keep the fire of hope burning. Now, I would like you to go back to your small groups. Only one thing. There are 14 stations. Alin sa mga stations na ito you would want to be, especially your station? At bakit? Huwag niyo piliin 14. Lahat ng 14 maganda. No. Maganda po lahat yan. Ang gaganda ng mga yung mga messages ni Lord. Ang gaganda. No? If we allow the stations to really talk to us, Jesus talking to us in all the stations of the cross, there are beautiful messages of God. Kaya yung tanong ko, sa 14, alin dyan ang station mo? Sabihin mo, the 10th station, Glenn's station. Bakit? Ano yun? Anong nakita mo doon na gusto mong yun ang maging isang powerful picture ng iyong brand of service? Yung brand of service. Okay? So I'd like you to just have a little reflection, and then when you're ready, you go back to your small groups.
Balance service.
Ano yung station?
Okay,
Hindi pa.
pero ako,
Oo nga, no?
lahat naman maganda, pero ako talaga yung hindi ko rin pwedeng say,
Ako,
being stressful. We are leaders to be sources of hope. Kasi para yung community natin, meron ng kasunod. Kasi kung wala silang tangkot sa community, no, kaya ako, parang kulang ang time. Di ba nga ba? Kaya hindi mo makausap lang para kung paano yung makakilala mo sa yung gano'n. So, tapos at least din ako, pag sa office, pagkakan mo lang, wala kasi, madami ng gasto. Hindi ko na ako kayo. Kasi ko lang ako sa inyo. Gano'n ang frustration. Ano sa natin sa tayo, pag ilang gagawin ko, yung parang i-ano mo na lang sila lahat. Parang i-gather mo sila na po, i-invite sila. Okay lang yung nila sila sa churches, nila o sa local church. Pero yung wala talaga, namilang hurt. Kaya sila wala, then we're hurt sila. Ano nga, hindi ko sila makukuha. Hindi mo pa, di pa wala. Pero yun, kulang para kumbaga,